Good morning, everyone. Dr. Fantastic here with another episode of Dr. Fantastic Interviews. It won't be an interview this morning. I may have one this afternoon, but I wanted to address the rumors going around that 5G and coronavirus are associated with one another, and that perhaps 5G is causing coronavirus. It's a conspiracy theory, pretty much, in my view. There are some similarities that 5G was rolled out in Wuhan, where the virus started, and it's rolled out in Spain and Italy, where it's really bad, and not in Russia, where it is not bad. But I've done a lot of research on 5G. The Russians reported in 1977 how detrimental it will be, and I just published shared on my Facebook page some articles, and you really should do yourself a favor and do some research on it for yourself. I'm going to read a scientific article, published research on 5G, small cells, wireless, and health. Published peer-reviewed science already indicates that the current wireless technologies of 2G, 3G, and 4G in use today with our cell phones, computers, and wearable tech create radio frequency exposures which pose a serious health risk to humans, animals, and the environment. Now, for all of you who have joined the Be Fantastic movement, I do give you for free a EMF reducer, electromagnetic frequency reducer for your phone. And if you go to my website, you'll see how it works. It's quantum mechanics at work, and it does work 100%. And there are a lot of devices that reduce your EMF on your phone. Scientists are cautioning that before rolling out 5G, research on human health effects urgently needs to be done first to ensure the public and environment are protected. The problem is greed again. As you know, the Be Fantastic movement is all about stemming greed, selfishness, and litigiousness. The 5G is all about greed. Believe me, it's quicker delivery of information indoors, so you can never be without information. Anyway, small cells are microwave antennas, basically shorter cell towers that's in your body. Small cells. That's what they're putting out the 5G on, are microwave antennas rapidly being installed in public areas on utility poles and street lights in front of homes, parks, and schools. Just like cell towers, these wireless antennas generate and emit microwave frequencies, radio frequencies, RF, radiation to transmit 2G, 3G, and 4G network signals. That's how they transmit the signals, through microwave radio frequency, RF. Companies soon plan to add a new technology called 5G, and by the way, that's fifth generation, which will use current 4G technology plus even higher frequencies. That's the problem, is the higher frequencies. The higher frequencies include millimeter wave emissions that were not previously released into public areas. Now, you're going to be safe in the country, of course. The cities are going to be detrimental. Companies state that these 4G and 5G antennas will increase the wireless radiation levels in the area so much that they are working to loosen several governments' radiation limits in order to roll it out. More than 240 scientists published an appeal to the United Nations to reduce public exposure and called for a moratorium on 5G, citing established adverse biological effects of RF radiation. No question, RF radiation is bad. 240 scientists. What does that tell you, people? 5G will utilize not only the frequencies currently in use, but also higher millimeter wave and sub-millimeter wave frequencies. Small cells being installed in cities are usually 4G technology with a wide variety of frequencies. Thus, when we consider the health impacts of 5G and small cells, we are looking at research on current technologies and frequencies in use, in addition to research on sub-millimeter and millimeter waves. The 5G standard is new. there are no studies that have looked at long-term human exposure to 5G, except for that one I was talking to you about in Russia in 1977. However, the current body of research finding effects from current wireless technology provides enough data for scientists to call for a moratorium. If you go to my website, it shows you what your brain looks like with a phone next to it and one without. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but your iPhone or any phone you're carrying, if you go into general and you go into legal and you go into, well, first I think it's about, then legal, and then general. But in the legal section, it says do not use your phone near your head or it may cause cancer. That's a disclaimer because it's been known to cause cancer. Published research documents adverse effects of RF exposure. 5G wireless expansion, public health and environmental implications is a research review that documents the range of reported adverse effects of RF and millimeter waves. Effects range from cancer to bacterial growth, changes to the DNA damage. The study concludes that a moratorium on the deployment of 5G is warranted. Again, 240 scientists are saying this. And the addition of this added high-frequency 5G radiation to an already complex mix of lower frequencies will contribute to a negative public health outcome from both physical and mental health perspectives. Russell, 2018. Adverse health effects of 5G mobile networking technology under real-life conditions identifies the wide spectrum and adverse health effects of non-ionizing, non-visible radiation and concludes that 5G mobile networking technology will affect not only the skin and eyes, but will have adverse systematic effects as well. Now, I just, again, on my Be Fantastic Facebook, I just published something that you should see on the sweat glands and the microwaves. It's very interesting. They state that 5G will increase the cell tower densities by an order of magnitude. Radiation could penetrate much deeper into a small animal in comparison to a human because of the much smaller animal size. The researchers point out that most laboratory experiments were not designed to identify the more severe adverse effects reflective of real-life conditions. For example, they do not include the real-life pulsing and modulation of the carrier signal and do not reflect the real-life exposures of various modulations. In addition, the vast majority of experiments do not account for synergistic adverse effects of other toxic stimuli with wireless radiation, despite the reality that people are exposed to a myriad of toxic insults every day. Science has documented addictive, synergistic, potentiative, and or antagonistic effects created by the combination of exposures. Combined to a toxic stimuli and wireless translates into much lower levels of tolerance for each toxic stimulus, and the exposure limits for wireless radiation when examined in combination with other potentially toxic stimuli would be far lower for safety purposes than those derived from wireless radiation exposures in isolation. The authors contend that almost all of the wireless radiation laboratory experiments that have been performed to date are flawed, limited with respect to showing the full adverse impact of wireless radiation that would be expected under real-life conditions because they did not include signal information and only used single stressors. The researchers conclude that in aggregate, for the high frequency, in parentheses, radio frequency, RF, part of the spectrum, currently published reviews show that RF radiation below the FCC guidelines can result in cardiogenogenicity, which is brain tumors, glaucoma, breast cancer, acoustic neuromas, leukemia, parotid gland tumors, genotoxicity, which is DNA damage, DNA repair, and inhibition, chromatin structure, mutagenicity, teratogenicity, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, neurobehavioral problems, autism, reproductive problems, pregnancy outcomes, excessive reaction to oxygen, species oxidation stress, inflammation, apoptosis, blood-brain barrier disruption, pineal gland melatonin production, sleep disturbance, headache, irritability, fatigue, concentration difficulties, depression, dizziness, tinnitus, burning and flushed skin, digestive disturbance, tremor, cardiac irregularities, adverse effects on the neural, circulatory, immune, endocrine, and skeletal systems. And from this perspective, RS is a highly pervasive cause of disease. Wow. That I need to put in. Wow, that's huge. Towards 5G communication systems, are there health implications? Is a research review detailing research findings that millimeter waves can alter gene expression, promote cellular proliferation, and synthesis of proteins linked with oxidation stress, inflammatory, and metabolic processes. The researchers conclude available findings seem sufficient to demonstrate the existence of biomedical effects to invoke precautionary principles. Well, I can go on and on. The article keeps going on about how bad this is, but I'm going to end it there because this is some serious shit, people. Do your research on your own for 5G. There's a lot of articles on it, but in conclusion of this presentation, it's got nothing to do with coronavirus. Remember, coronavirus, 99% protection is wash your hands often, do not touch public surfaces, do not touch your face, and keep a social distance to everybody. Everyone, be fantastic. Join the Be Fantastic movement. The website is befantastictoday.com. The app is Be Fantastic. It's a fantastic app for fantastic people. We've got, again, the Facebook, the YouTube, everything. Everyone, be fantastic and listen often. We have 160 important podcasts on this channel here. Thank you for listening.